Thanks for joining us for the final episode of Season 7 of the Hospitality Hangout, a hospitality-focused podcast where the founders at Branded Strategic share their insights and bring technology and innovation leaders that are making things happen in the industry we love. My name is Jimmy Frischling, otherwise known as the Finance Guy. I'd like to introduce my partner, my brother from another mother, Mr. Michael Schatzberg, also known as the Restaurant Guy.
And thanks for that kind introduction, Jimmy. And to all those listening, feel free to call me Shatsy. And together, we're the personalities behind Branded Strategic Hospitality. We work at the intersection of hospitality, food service, technology, innovation, and capital. Jimmy, that's a mouthful. We got a great show. I got to tell you, Jimmy, I've never been to Sun Valley before, but it is gorgeous. At the Global Food Service Hospitality Exchange.
Beautiful.
It is a great crew. It is gorgeous. Jimmy's hiking. Jimmy's biking. Jimmy's fly fishing.
Jimmy's at the bar enjoying.
He's like a regular outdoorsman. He's like a Grizzly Adams out here. It's really been a lot of fun. But Jimmy, we're not going to talk about that right now. What we're going to talk about is something more important. Jimmy, do you know what's coming up very soon in September?
I could take a stab, Shatsy, but I might guess wrong. So why don't you just tell me what is coming up? I was going to go with some special holidays. What do you got?
It's not Yom Kippur. That's probably coming up too, Jimmy. Yes, and that's not your favorite holiday because you fast, and Jimmy don't like anytime he's got to fast. Jimmy, it is FS Tech. It is. I think it's one of our favorite trade shows to go to.
Absolutely,
the Food Service Tech Show. It's an unbelievable show, and I got to tell every operator out there right now. If there's one show to go to in the year and you love tech or you want to see what's happening in tech and innovation within the space, you got to come to Dallas and hang out with Jimmy and I and the team. If you want to come, you can go to fstech.com and register. It is free for operators, Jimmy. That is a special promotion that we are running here at Branded by using the code Mr. Jimmy. You can use Mr. Jimmy code. It's free. Or you can email me. You could go podcast at Branded Strategic, and I'll get you registered. Again, it is the best show. Jimmy, you know we're have the Innovation Alley there. We will have 20 of the most innovative companies at the show. So I stress anybody who is thinking about learning about what's happening in tech and innovation, you got to come to Dallas. We'll be at the Gaylord, FS Tech. It's September 19th. fstech.com and register immediately. Jimmy, back to you.
I like it. You know, I got to tell you, year 2 for Branded. We've gone to the show before, but year 2 where we will be hosting Innovation Alley, and that is very exciting. Okay, we have a very, very exciting episode today. It is, as I said at the intro, our final episode of Season 7.
Has it been that long?
They never said we finished the McMantle year, but you know what? 7.
Hey, Jimmy, when do royalty payments start coming in, by the way? Is that after 7? When do we, it's like, don't you syndicate now and we start getting big money?
I've been getting mine. I guess I forgot to give you wiring instructions. Okay, here we go. Our guest today, Mr. Taj Adhav, CEO of Leasecake. Okay, I could not be more excited to have our friend and partner Taj on the podcast. I wanted to give you a little quick analogy about Leasecake. Airbnb is for travel. Uber is for, going places, car service. LinkedIn is for careers. And Leasecake is for everyone who owns or leases.
I thought everyone else, Jimmy, just everyone else.
Well, everyone who owns or leases commercial real estate, that's Leasecake. There you go. That's Leasecake. So Taj, we'll let you kick us off. Please give us a little background about yourself and, of course, your pitch on Leasecake. Assuming you still want to be on the show with us after that intro.
Oh, it's awesome. Love working with you guys, Jimmy and Schatz. Thanks for allowing me to be part of kind of the closing of series of season 7.
Season 7.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You'll get a Mickey Mantle jersey in the mail. Compliments of Shatzy's personal credit card.
Yes.
That is great. Yeah. So a little bit about myself. So, first generation kid, youngest son of an immigrant family. My parents said, "Hey, you better get into business." So I was a CPA for 15 years, Big Four, spent a decade at Disney as an Imagineer, being involved in lots of large-scale commercial projects, hotels, restaurants, and business launches. One of them was Disney Cruise Line, billion-dollar project and launching a couple of cruise ships with that business. So phenomenal kind of experience. And I decided I needed to repot myself. So I joined a small tech company. This is, probably a couple of decades ago. And I was an early hire there. moved out of being the CFO because I was really a numbers guy. And I said, I want to figure out how to engage more customers. We created a B2B enterprise solution that ultimately 14 years later, Google acquired. So part of my journey were how Leasecake was created. Believe it or not, it started over a cup of coffee at a diner. So after this kind of great ride, successes and failures in life, I met a gentleman in the commercial real estate space, and he looks at me, and he's managing this really large commercial real estate portfolio, $50 million, probably 50 tenants, nine buildings. And he said to me, he's like, "Hey, Taj, listen, you're a business guy and you're a tech guy. I'm losing track of things. I'm losing track of rent increases and lease expirations, renewals and month-to-month rents." And he's like, "We should build an app." And I looked at him and I said, "Jim, this is kind of crazy. I mean, here we are. It's the 2017, I think, or 2015 at the time." I said, "Everybody that is in business owns or leases a location, right? Where's the app for that?" And he's like, "Exactly. I keep missing things." I'm like, "What's wrong with spreadsheets and Dropbox?" And it turns out that, it was an idea well before its time. So that seed was planted in my head. And from my upbringing, my parents were commercial tenants for 10 years. They moved from Canada to the US. They became commercial landlords overnight. And then lo and behold, they build their own building for themselves as well as space for tenants. So I'm a dot connector. And I looked at this and what Jim was telling me, Jim Banks, and he's our co-founder, he said, this is an opportunity. It turns out it is. So we created a operating system for location management. And the reason it's called Leasecake is because it's easy. and what we recognized in any type of B2B application, consumer-centric design is so vitally important, but it's missing in a lot of these kind of prop tech solutions that are out there. So ultimately, we are lease and location management made easy. And we found that, with more and more customers that we showed this to, they said, "Wow, I'd buy Leasecake. Here's 5 more people." So the journey of not only kind of finding product market fit, we took this idea, and the launch happened at Techstars. It was Global Startup Weekend.
Techstars.
Yeah.
Shatsy, Techstar mentor, by the way. Giving a little shout out to Techstars here. Wait, Taj, first of all, 2 quick things. One, your story about coffee in a diner and the idea of this business is not so different than Shatz and myself.
Back of a napkin, Jimmy.
We have to change coffee to single malt, and we got to change diner to bar. But that is like the same story. Like
it's exactly the same story.
Exactly the same. Okay, listen. I want to talk a little bit. I want to jump in a little further about Leasecake and what we love so
Jimmy,
much.
You've never spoken a little bit ever.
I'm going to try. What we love so much about your company, and you were just highlighting the fact that you have applied a tech solution to an otherwise antiquated model, and that I think is so cool because it's almost like, of course, someone's already solved this, but you know what? Nobody had. So many small and mid-sized property owners are, for all intents and purposes, forgotten about when it comes to creating a solution to organize tenant leases. And get ready, folks, nearly 80% of the $1 trillion global rental market falls into that category. Can you share a little more about the problem Leasecake is solving for?
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly an unserved market. When we look at commercial real estate, there's a whole bunch of really, vital events that are triggered with a date. And nobody gets in business as a restaurant owner to own a real estate empire, right? They want to run this amazing network of great places that people can enjoy and be delighted and have a great restaurant dining experience. It turns out that, landlords and brokers really are the ones that have the expertise. So things like negotiating, obviously, renewal options or rent bumps, those are pretty much table stakes. Every restaurant operator is focused on those. But there's a lot of other details that are also as onerous. So let's just talk about maybe a personal guarantee that is still binding even though you sell your restaurant. or there are landlord or tenant responsibilities that, an operator ends up fixing stuff that's ultimately the landlord's responsibility. Having visibility and quick access to the things that matter in your real estate leases, that's absolutely vital. That's really where we focus. But what we found as well is there's a need for other systems that focus on keeping track of other mission critical, time sensitive events. Things like your permits, your licenses, your liquor license, your fire extinguisher permits, all of these things. Like, our customers tell us, oh, I have no system for tracking, warranties or vendor contracts that are in this auto renewal cycle, and suddenly your uniform provider is locking into a 3-year new term and you couldn't renegotiate it, or your trash contract has been renegotiated or you can't renegotiate it. So there's a lot of these other very mission critical, time sensitive dates, and you need to have proactive awareness. So number one, we're in the answer business, getting quick access to the things that matter most in a very easy to use consumer centric application, mobile, tablet, desktop. We're in the awareness business, push notifications, email notifications, and then we're also in the action business, collaboration to allow you to say, hey, renew that certificate of insurance. Who's responsible? It's a very shareable platform, and that's what our customers love about our solution. It's not just a single point based. You can store documents. There's full lease abstracts that are built by all of our US-based real estate team, just experts that help operators of all different types, certainly restaurant hospitality, get kind of this outsourced real estate services component at a fraction of the cost without having to build out an entire.
Listen, I got to tell you, Taj, this is really unbelievable what you're doing. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Listen, we have probably, I don't know what the exact number is right now, but it's a couple 100,000 listeners right now on this podcast, okay? And many of them are restaurant owners and operators, many multi-unit restaurant owners and operators. So let's just talk a little bit more. I mean, you touched on some of it. Give us some more detail and depth of how Leasecake is truly a solution for the multi-unit restaurant and food service operator. Why would they care?
End of the day, it's having the most accurate, accessible answers in something that's easy to use and that allows them to stay focused on running an amazing restaurant experience, not to be sidetracked by some time-wasting effort because some permit's not been established or understanding.
I tell you, as an operator, Taj, I know firsthand that we have had lease options pass us by because honestly, our leases were in a filing cabinet, and we've got our group has 20 leases. And you kind of sign the lease, you throw it into a filing cabinet, and you very rarely go back and look at it again, and you get your bill and you pay it, and there's an increase. You just assume, okay, it must be a 2% increase, and you don't really pay much attention. So are you saying that this will take all that out of it and it makes it so you really understand every term of your lease and what's happening and not miss any key dates?
That's absolutely correct. It takes
it's a must-have. Jimmy, you got to have this.
Gotta have it. How
do I get it? What do I need to do? Where am I going? Leasecake.com?
Oxygen, gravity, Leasecake.
Absolutely. Leasecake.com. It's a piece of cake, baby.
I think this is I get to use Shatsy, our favorite. The pandemic has changed nothing, but accelerated everything moment. Leasecake started out as a lease management tool. That's cool. Big market. Now it has quickly morphed into a one-stop shop for operators looking to manage essentially all their critical dates and other important business renewals, equipment maintenance.
Jimmy, we missed out on it. We lost the lease because we didn't know when. We didn't know
liquor licenses.
We're restaurant guys. We're stupid.
What other tools are you offering to operators?
The other tools, I mean, it's like the hub is the location, right? The lease is one of the spokes. The other facets of what Leasecake offers is there's a new accounting standard, meaning if you need to comply and have GAAP-based financial statements that you're required to send to your franchisor or your lender or your landlord, there's this new requirement called ASC 842, and it's an accounting standard. You got to love the accountants. You've got to capitalize and amortize all of your leases for the entire life of that lease across all of your portfolio of locations and put that on your balance sheet. So it's a very complicated set of calculations. It's incredibly expensive for your CPA firms to, look at all your lease inventory, run the schedules, create this effective net present value. So we have an ASC 842 solution right out of the box. You just click a button, all the lease data is already there, pre-populated and created for you. And it creates the journal entries so your CFO doesn't have to worry or spend needless amount of money with CPA firms or your outsourced, even your auditor. So we allow a much quicker compliance.
I love it. I think this is just fantastic. Now, what is that thing? The AC 36-4? What is that?
It's accounting standards, conference, I guess. It's ASC 842.
Jimmy, make a note of that, Jimmy.
That's Accounting Standard Conference 842.
Hey, listen, Jimmy brought up a little bit about Techstars. I am honored to be a mentor in the Techstars Farm to Fork program. In fact, I just got back from Minnesota for the kickoff event of the Techstars and meeting 12 incredible startups in the food service hospitality space. You were not just in Techstars program, you were a winner. Listen to this, Jimmy. This is breaking news, I think. I think this is breaking news. You were the winner of the Techstars Global Showcase.
2017, baby.
In 2017, but I heard, am I correct, you were so great, you won it again in 18 and again in 19. Is that not true?
That part is a little bit of a stretch, I think, 18 and 19.
So it was just the first year. All right, okay, Jimmy, it was just the 1 year, but it's still breaking news, Jimmy.
You're breaking breaking
than
news from 2017.
Right, no, but how did Techstars help accelerate your growth?
It was phenomenal. So here's the thing, right? As a tech guy, as a business guy, I got invited to Techstars Global Startup Weekend in Orlando. And it was under the premise that, hey, Taj, show up over the weekend to help some people create a prototype and have a winning pitch and have a paying customer. It turns out that I was just invited to be a mentor. Well, as I looked at it and I started to scratch my head, and I called Jim Bankston, my co-founder, up, and I said, hey, dude, this thing that you mentioned a couple years ago at the diner? He said, sure. I said, well, what about leasecake.com? He's like, yeah, go for it. So I said, if I get the guts to pitch, I might pitch this. So he said, go for it. So I wrote the pitch, kept it in my back pocket, bought the domain name for $11.99. And this is 2 hours before the event. Turns out on that Friday night in Orlando, I pitched. We won by Sunday, winning prototype, winning pitch, had a paying customer. And then 2 weeks later, we won North America. And then another 2 weeks later, we won globally across 200 cities and 58 countries. And I said, holy crap, if it's good enough for Techstars across the globe, I better freaking do something about this. So it was literally that kind of magic moment happened.
I love it. And to all you kids at home, it just goes to show you, those 5 Ps, proper preparation prevents poor performance. Screw it. Just 2 hours before the exam, just pull it together, whip it out, and see what you can make happen. There you go. That's a great lesson for all you youngsters out there. Preparation, forget about it. All right, listen. Before we move on.
But I would counter by saying, sometimes all the lessons in your life lead up to that moment of just saying, all right, I think I'm just going to grab the mantle and see what happens.
I agree. Tongue in cheek. I think, I think you were very lucky. And by luck, I define it as where hard work meets an opportunity. And it took you all of your years in the business and all of your work at Disney and that early stage startup and the CPA license to get lucky. Lucky again. Hard work meets opportunity. There you go. Listen, before we move on, really just open-ended, but what's next for Leasecake?
We have an amazing opportunity ahead. I mean, in order to be a platform, you can't just be a one-sided platform for one part of the market. So we are a multi-sided platform. We have tenants and brokers and landlords part of our ecosystem. Expanding that platform play, not only here in the US, but the what's next is, where are we expanding to geographically? So Latin America, EU, everybody across the globe, kind of, obviously with a Techstars win, we know the market is massive, and a easy lease and location management solution for the world is absolutely ours to win. And we're ready to take on that next chapter. We're super excited. Part of our Series A round that you all were part of our investor group, we now have the capital to really expand and build out the platform globally.
Well, we are very excited to be part of your cap table, to call you a friend, to call you a partner. And I will make a prediction, and I feel very fortunate about this with you and some of our other partner companies, that we actually are working with platforms that not only are doing amazing things for its customers and clients, but have an opportunity to really be the world leader in a respective domain. And I actually think that is, while it sounds audacious, that is actually a roadmap that I could see for Leasecake. It is so appreciated by your users that you are solving a real issue for them. All right, but I digress, or I continue to speak too much, like Schatzberg always says I do. All right. It turns out that while we started this podcast to talk about, talk with other people and ask them questions, along the way we learned sometimes our guests have a question for us. So let's kick off Talking Back, where we offer our guest, Taj, that's you, the chance to ask us any questions. Nothing's off the table. The microphone is yours.
Awesome. Well, I want to kind of turn it back to the beginning of our relationship when we first got introduced. I think it was probably through a shared contract at one of the IFA conventions, but it was a really short dating period, right, Jimmy? Right, Schatz?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was even before that.
Yeah. Well, what was the thing that you were listening for? Because literally we were in the middle of closing our round. We had a nice little how do you do, and then boom, something just clicked for you guys. And I'm so glad we kind of opened up the room in the cap table.
Yeah, I think for us, what you're solving for just resonated with us as operators. Like so many companies that we get involved in, you are very hospitality centric, though your platform works for many industries that have leases, though your platform works for the landlords and brokers. We looked at it as from the operator perspective. And I know, and Jimmy knows, because he's been our restaurant partner for as many years we've been in the business. We missed, as I said earlier, we've missed some key lease points simply because we signed a lease, we paid the rent, and that was the end of it. We didn't know there were options that if you didn't say 6 months prior that you lost that right. We didn't know there were certain bumps in rent. We didn't know there were certain clauses. And all these things were a pain point for us. So when we met you and heard what you were doing, it was just an obvious, and we're small guys with not a lot of leases. So if you're solving something for us and we're not a big guy at all, then could you imagine what you'd be doing for a guy that's got 50 or 100 or 500 leases? How could he keep track? Or you know what I mean? So it just resonated. You're hospitality centric. You're doing a service for operators that are trying to run their business, and they're not really thinking about those things. They're thinking about, can I get my bread? Can I get my delivery? Can I, the payroll and food costs and labor costs and this and that. So that, it was just an easy for Jimmy and I. It was really easy. Just resonated.
Well, it was an easy.
And you got a great blazer. You got a great blazer collection also. Great. Guy wears some crazy, beautiful, like these prints, right? With like a metallic prints. I mean, he's like Steven Tyler.
I have to say,
like Aerosmith, right?
I'm not kidding. Schatz has been blown away by your wardrobe and your collection of blazers ever since.
Yeah, I mean, come on, that's cool.
Yeah,
Schatz, I'm glad. It's the Italians. It's the Italians.
I'm glad you shared that, Schatz, because I got to tell you, I was going to say, how'd you leave off?
Jimmy didn't even like Leasecake. He just said, I don't know about this product, but Schatzy, this blazer, this guy's got it going on.
What I was going to say to your question,
he's like, fuck Leasecake. Look at this blazer.
What I was going to say is to your question, I think it's a good one. Branded leans very heavily in really feature sets, far more so than platforms, with the idea that a company that can specialize in solving better than anyone else a specific issue. We are very operator centric, and that is kind of how we've leaned in. And on the one hand, that is the observation that we had with you straight away, particularly because you were addressing a pain point that we ourselves have experienced. And we don't know a single restaurant operator or otherwise that hasn't had that issue. It's happened. They've missed a contractual deadline and it's cost them in some way or form. Hopefully not a big deal, but it has cost them. What I thought was interesting about Leasecake is you're not a feature. You're a platform. And I will admit to you that, yes, it's never been so easy for us to make a decision on a platform that quickly, but we understood we were working in an aggressive time frame. And look, I think the beauty of us being an emerging venture capital platform and the ability to move on a dime and reprioritize play to our strength, because I think given the lack of given the flatness of our organization, we were able to jump on the opportunity presented to us. Really amazing feature set, but it's clearly a platform that is going to have a journey, and that usually takes a little more time for us, but we got there and we're thrilled that we did. And by the way, I continue to believe that the embracement you guys get from your customers and clients and the users of Leasecake is what screams at us that we absolutely did the right thing by prioritizing Leasecake. And I want to apologize for this other company that we took away your capital and gave it to Leasecake. But hey, better luck next time. We'll catch you at the next event, and please improve your wardrobe.
It really was. I don't care what Jimmy says. It really was about the wardrobe, and he can talk from today to tomorrow. It really was the blazer. But listen, we do a poll every week. I think it comes out every Tuesday on LinkedIn. We throw out a poll. It's a fun poll about restaurants and hospitality and hotels and travel and food, etc. And last week we had Buck Jordan from Wavemaker, guys flying like F-18 Hornets or like crazy helicopters. This guy's a pilot. This guy's crazy. He's making robots. Buck is he's an all-star guy. But we asked Buck, what was his favorite American chain restaurant? The answers could have been either Applebee's, Longhorn Steakhouse, Chili's, or Ruby Tuesdays. We had, from what I understand here, my notes, over 17 billion responders. Over 17 billion people wrote in on LinkedIn. And I think, Jimmy, what did you pick? Did you pick Applebee's? What did you pick?
I think I picked Applebee's because I really do love the jingle.
Right, you like the jingle, and I went along and I said Applebee's too. But I got to tell you, after
date night,
well, we asked America, 17 billion people chimed in, and the answer, Jimmy, we picked Applebee's. It was Chili's. Buck picked Chili's, and Chili's was the answer. And it was, I got to be honest, it was a landslide. Chili's. Everyone likes Chili's. I mean, right? Is that the jingle? I don't even know what the jingle is. But anyway, now it's your turn, Taj. Let's ask you. What's that?
It was a jingle in 1994.
Yeah, well, that's what I remember. And let's ask you the question of the week. Are you ready?
I am.
What is your favorite canned spirit brand? This is what we're asking America today. Topo Chico, Cutwater, Twisted Tea, or White Claw? Favorite canned spirit. How do you think America will vote? And I'm hoping to get over 20 billion votes this time around.
I think there's what I believe America will vote versus my personal favorite. I think America will vote White Claw. That's my guess.
All right, White Claw. What's your personal favorite, just as a side?
I love Topo Chico. I just love the amount of bubbles per square inch. It's freaking awesome.
Jimbo, take a guess.
I gotta say, I'm agreeing with Taj. I was gonna say that White Claw is gonna win this one hands down, because of the 17 billion people that respond, and by that you meant 17 people. Your kids and the millennials, the Gen Ys are the dominant participants, but White Claw is gonna win this one hands down. I, however, also am a fan of Topo Chico. I think it's a delicious beverage.
But are you talking about now Coke? Coke owns Topo Chico, and they came out with the alcoholic one now. Did you know that? And that's what we're talking about here.
Even better.
I think they added Macallan, Jimmy. Macallan 12 in there, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, let's see. Listen, stay tuned next week. Over 20 billion people will vote, and let's see who the winner is.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right.
Give me back to you on the crystal ball moment.
Crystal ball moment. The
second best segment on the whole show.
I'm going to end the show after the crystal ball moment just to piss you off. It's our chance for our guests to put on their Kreskin or Miss Cleo hat and predict the future. Crystal ball moment, Taj. How do you see restaurants and dining 2 years from now in relation to hospitality, Shatsy, watch this, real estate, and technology?
I love that. I love it. Brilliant.
Technology, hospitality, real estate, and technology 2 years from now.
Perfect. So I think there's this incredible dichotomy. If you look at hospitality and technology, forget about the real estate side, there's hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on very consumer-centric applications, right? Apps. Increase your order accuracy, decrease your wait time, increase delivery, just that speed and that efficiency and that loyalty that brands are spending for their customers to make it easy for them to just buy and order and get a reservation.
Mistakes matter. Mistakes matter. That's not good. Restaurants and mistakes are bad.
Exactly. And so, I've asked the question and I continue to kind of get feedback, right? If you look at the apps that are on your home screen right now, if you were to look at your phone, what would you see? And generally, they're the apps that you can't live without, right? It's Facebook and WhatsApp and LinkedIn and your favorite ordering platform, et cetera. So if there are apps that you can't live without, my Kreskin moment is, where are the apps that you can't work without? So I feel
You did there?
So the biggest opportunity, and this is why we're winning, is because it's really hard to make things really easy. And let's face it, every consumer-centric app for ordering, for reservations, for accuracy is very simplified and it's very easy to use. If you look at B2B solutions out there, they're incredibly cumbersome and complex. Where we have won is we are solving that problem. We are the app that you can't work without and providing value to the individual business users.
Taj, can I quote you on that?
Yes, you may, sir.
Okay, Jimmy, that is breaking news.
I know what, that is the best way to end season 7. We'll wrap it up now, Taj. Thank you so much.
The app you can't work without. That is a tagline. I want that trademarked immediately, Jimmy.
Okay.
Listen, we're going to come back here in 2 years and we are going to see that. But I agree. It is something you can't work without. And I implore every restaurant operator, every landlord, every broker, get to leasecake.com and check it out. Listen, before we go, Taj, we've got the best segment. It's the branded quickfire, okay? And this is the number one segment. It's not just on this podcast. It's probably the number one segment in all of, I'm going to go as bold as to say, in the entire world today. This has become, it's unbelievable. The response we get from this quickfire, people just love it. They just go crazy for it. And I'm going to ask you 5 lightning round questions. And I don't want you to think too hard. Just whatever comes to your mind. People love it. Are you ready?
I am. Bring it on.
If you were to take the stage for a live performance with any singer, dead or alive, who would you be on that stage singing with? And you can't say Jimmy.
That's easy. Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, you gotta love a little Queen. Okay, where are you getting dinner from tonight?
We've got a great restaurant locally here in Winter Park, Florida. It's called Umi Sushi. Fantastic operator, and the food is remarkable.
Umi.
What is your favorite food city in the world?
I have found a new favorite, and it is Milan. I love Italy, and man, Milan is such a great, diverse food culture.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a stretch. I mean, that's obvious there. Where is your favorite place to travel?
Lake Como, Italy.
Oh, it's not too far from Milan, by the way. So you can have dinner in Milan, then drive over to Como. Hey,
Exactly.
When you're on stage with Freddie Mercury, would you let him wear your blazer?
Absolutely. Dude.
All right, then. I just added that question in there. If you were to challenge Jimmy or I to be your partner in an escape room challenge, who would you choose to have better odds of winning? Escape room challenge. I've done this. I don't know if Jimmy, have you done one of these escape rooms? I've done it with my kids. And let me tell you, I had to call 911. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, Shatz, you should stop speaking because the more you speak, the more you're going to bury yourself. But I was too slow to tell you that because you just buried yourself. Taj, he just admitted he couldn't even get out of the room with his kids.
All right,
But go ahead,
so
choose.
two options. Listen, if it's an escape challenge that involves numbers and codes, it's Jimmy all the way. But if it's an escape room challenge that's based on good looks, it's Schatz.
I respect that.
Well, the room that I was in, I don't think they cared about looks.
Yeah, in the room you played in, I like that. I respect that. I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
Oh, Jimmy, there are puzzles in there and keys to find and codes. Yep. My head exploded. I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, Shatz, your ADD does not lend itself well to escape room challenges. You lose interest.
Wait, what was that, Jimmy?
Exactly. Listen, Taj, we want to thank you so much for joining us for the podcast today and for sharing all your great insights. We really do love what you and the team at Leasecake are doing, and again, supporting not just the hospitality industry, but really so many businesses and verticals where the common thread that runs through them is leases and commercial properties, and just the importance of meeting deadlines and being aware of these deadlines. Brandon looks at companies and we say, whether a company is one of many, whether it's one of few, whether it could in fact be a one and only. So I'm not prepared to say it's the one and only, although I will say I don't know of another company that is doing what Leasecake is doing in the way that it's doing it. So I guess, at least in my purview, you are the one and only, and that puts you in a very special place. And I think for those of you out there that wish to engage and speak to Taj, you're going to find just how special a group and how important they are. It's the app you will not want to work without. If you want to get in touch with Taj directly, you can email the podcast team at podcast@brandedstrategic.com. We'd be happy to make the introduction
Jimmy,
for you.
Just go to leasecake.com, baby.
Just go to leasecake.com. But then, Shatsy,
right? And I got to add one more thing, Jimmy.
What's that?
Taj still has all his contacts and connections at Disney. And due to those contacts and connections that he has maintained over these years on the cruise line, he has generously offered for the first 100 listeners, Jimmy, that call in or email us, a fully inclusive Disney cruise package. You hear this, Jimmy? If you sign up to Leasecake right now, you get a cruise paid for on a Disney cruise by Leasecake. Jimmy, that's the kind of CEO we like. I'm done.
I appreciate
I'm done
that.
here.
I appreciate that. I think, Shatz, you might have misunderstood the fine print. It was a trip on the Circle Line.
So if you sign up for Leasecake, you get the Circle Line? That's still good. That's still good.
The first 100 callers get general admission passes to the Circle Line, which, by the way, is a wonderful trip around
You were
Manhattan.
just on that, Jimmy.
It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Okay, to our listeners, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. We know there are literally hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and the fact
not better, Jimmy.
Well, you know what? The fact that our subscriber base continues to spike is thrilling, and we're very excited. I cannot believe we are bringing season 7 to a close, although we couldn't have had a better guest to do it. However, unlike your favorite TV shows that take a lengthy hiatus between seasons, we'll be coming back and releasing a special bonus season starting next week. We're back next week. We'll be featuring the best of episodes for the month of August. We'll be featuring best of moments from our most popular segments, the crystal ball moment, the on the road, top of the tech stack, which came first, and I can't believe it, but I'm sure we're going to have a little branded quickfire in there as well. You won't want to miss it. So with that in mind, Taj, with appreciation to you and your team, I apologize. A note just came in fast forward. A note just got put in front of me. Taj, did you dress up as Pluto for a day?
I did. From Pluto to Leasecake,
There it is.
Wait, just for a day?
Pluto for a day.
What is that the original Pluto? He got sick or something? What happened?
They have it's kind of a cross management training. Like everybody gets to do whatever they want to do and in a different realm. So from management, working in the park, and
hey, kids out there, no job too big, no job too small. Dressed as Pluto one day in the Disney park, now CEO of one of the hottest, fastest growing tech companies in the business. So again, Taj, with appreciation to you. And as we wrap this episode up, end of season 7, I will send appreciation to my partner, Shatsy, who without this podcast would probably be more
Probably a
informative.
lot better. Probably a lot better.
Not more fun. No, Chats, in all seriousness, take us home, closing out season 7.
I just can't believe I got to speak to my agent, Jimmy, because I mean, do we have a SAG card or is that a podcast card? Something. I mean, we end season 7. We should have the month of August off. We should be relaxing and waiting to start in September, like all the other like Stranger Things and stuff. They're not working like this, Jimmy. Jimmy, you know what Ted Danson makes in an episode? You know how much he makes in an episode, Jimmy?
$700,000 an episode.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and what are we getting, Jimmy?
We get. Well, I'll make you a SAG card. I'll make you.
All right, I got to talk to my agent about this. Well, anyway, listen. Thank you, everybody. Taj, thank you. This is Shatsy, aka the Restaurant Guy, signing off season 7. And I got to tell you, get right back into season 8. I'm exhausted thinking about it. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Thank you.